All right, we are back here, and it's time to move on to the NBA as Steph Curry spoils Klay Thompson's homecoming. Did this game season thus far prove that the Warriors made the right call moving on from Klay Thompson? And Zach, before I give my take and you give your take, I want to play a clip of the opening, the tribute. I want to play that real quickly. I believe we have that, so let's play that right now.
He's back! And now, in his 11th NBA season out of Washington State University, number 11, Klay Thompson!
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, Zach. If I wasn't having a bad day that night, because I literally had a bad afternoon, I would have shed a tear. But I was too mad to cry. Okay, because a lot of stuff going on exterior, right? But anyway, for me, before I answer the question, I just want to give this take about something that I learned, right? And it's not nothing that I learned that's new, but the game was just a microcosm of it, of what I already knew, which is that Draymond Green and Steph Curry were and is the most important Warriors. Okay. Now, the Warriors movie is my favorite movie of all time. We all know in that movie that they were more important Warriors than others, right? Obviously, for those who watch the movie, right? So when you come to the NBA and you look at a dynasty that was the Warriors, right? You have pieces that are more important than others. And to me, Draymond Green and Steph Curry was and is the most important Warriors. And last night just signified that for me, right? Because you talk about just everything from this team, the conversations, right? I remember we was talking about, oh, well, Jordan Poole got paid over Draymond Green. How should Draymond Green feel about that? I remember when they bench Klay Thompson last year. How should Klay Thompson feel about that, right? A lot of conversations. Oh, if Draymond Green was to be subtracted from this team, he's just a system guy that happens to benefit by playing with one of the best players of all time, right? But now you look at this game last night, you look at him setting the tempo, blocking a three-point shot, diving for the ball before it went out of bounds, igniting a fast break opportunity that DeAnthony Melton was able to capitalize on, and just giving that team a spark early on, setting the tempo for what was to come. He blocked a couple shots throughout the game on Daniel Gafford. He forced opposing players to take low percentage shots. His passing in the game, was insurmountable. He knocked down a couple three-pointers in the game as well. He had a vintage Draymond Green game last night. And look, Klay Thompson did his thing. He had 22 points, right? But one thing is for sure, Steph offense, right? It's Steph-centric. The main thing is just as black and white as anything else. Knock down your shots and defend on the perimeter. If you can do those things, then you're going to win games. That's why the Warriors are winning games. That's why they're 9-2. Knock down your shots. When you're playing with Steph, the shots are going to be there. Keep moving, keep rotating, and knock down your shots and defend on the perimeter, and that's your key to victory, right? And I'm not trying to slight Klay Thompson by saying that like he never contributed anything to the Warriors. Clearly he did, and that's why he was paid homage in that video, because he contributed to the team. But this team is all right. When guys are knocking down their shots and defending, when Andrew Wiggins' head is in the game, like what it was last night when he guarded Luka Doncic, and I believe Luka Doncic went 12 minutes down a stretch without scoring a bucket, okay? And like last week when he guarded Jason Tatum, okay? If he's playing like how he did last night, last week, and in the playoffs when they won the finals, right, then this team could win. This team could continue to win, and we don't got to write the obituary that we started to write. So that's my take, is that Draymond Green, I don't got to talk about the importance of Stephen Curry here. Do I? No, I don't. But Draymond Green, more specifically, he showed his value last night.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. And my top takeaway from that game last night is kind of on a similar boat, but I'm just going to say this. I think that Klay Thompson leaving the Warriors and going to the Mavericks was the best move for both parties. The best move for Klay and the best move for the Warriors, because I think you hit on a lot of good points with the Warriors. I think when I watch this team right now, they're playing inspired basketball, and that's not something I really saw from them throughout the last couple of years. And I just think from everything I was hearing behind the scenes with this Warriors team, it was just time for both sides to move on. And I understand when you have a guy like Klay Thompson that has done so many things and has helped this team and this franchise win so much, that's always a controversial decision, right? Like when he moves on, we always want to label like, oh, there's a clear winner, there's a clear loser. But no, like I think this move was best for both parties. Klay had a great run in Golden State. It was time for him to move on. It was pretty bizarre watching, especially early in that game, watching like Steph Curry guard him, watching him guard his former Splash brother. But you hit the nail on the head with Andrew Wiggins. Like, we remember how important this guy was a couple of years back when he was leading the Warriors alongside Steph Curry to that NBA title. He was phenomenal in that Boston Celtics finals. He could not miss a shot. Draymond is showing his value. I also think they've done a good job adding some low-key, like under the radar guys, right? DeAnthony Melton, Buddy Hield have both played inspired basketball.
Crazy.
Even Trace Jackson Davis, a guy that went late in the second round, a guy that I watched very closely during his college days at Indiana. He can't really shoot the ball, so he went late in the draft, but he's a winning player. He plays great defense, helps you protect the rim, very skilled offensively. And also, Steve Kerr, like, this guy is still one of the best coaches in the league. I know that he caught a lot of heat during the Olympics and some of his rotations, and that those games were a little bit closer than a lot of people realized, but he's won championships. He's the one that really jump-started this Warriors dynasty, and he deserves credit. So I think if you're a Warriors fan, you got to be feeling good. And I think this Warriors team is in a much better position to make the playoffs and make a deep run compared to years past. I remember watching Klay Thompson 2 years ago in the playoffs in, I believe it was game 6. They lost to the Lakers in the second round of the playoffs, and he just couldn't make a shot. He couldn't buy a bucket. And I remember telling myself, like, man, it might just be time. And I don't think he's washed either. Like, he had some good moments last night. I still think that he's going to be very important for Dallas down the stretch. He played well last night. And if he's making shots like he did last night in the playoffs, then I think this Dallas Mavericks team is going to be very hard to beat. So I understand when we have such a big move like this, we want to declare a clear winner or a clear loser and see like how, like, who won the trade or who won the move. I just think this was a move that really helps both sides. I think Klay really nailed the decision by going to Dallas instead of the Lakers. I think if you put Klay Thompson on the Lakers right now, that's not really helping them or raising their ceiling by a lot. But I do think it does with this Mavericks team. And I know they lost that game last night, but they ran into a red-hot Warriors team. Steph Curry's shot making down the stretch was phenomenal. So that's really my main takeaway, Lil. I think that this divorce and this move happening was just best for both sides, and I think it's going to help both sides out in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when you talk about Klay Thompson, first of all, once more, he had a very good game last night, scoring 22 points, knocking down some of those three-pointers as we played in that clip. But shooting was never really the main issue. I understand he can go cold from time to time and, be 0 for 10 like how he was in the playing game and all that. But the main issue with Klay Thompson is stemming from the torn ACL and how he lost his lateral quickness on a defensive end. He can't stay in front of guards. That's why if you watch the game, he started on Draymond Green. He was defending Draymond Green and not Steph and not DeAnthony Melton and not the guards because he can't stay in front of the guards. So I think for me, he's always going to be an X factor, obviously, for the Mavericks. And that's the difference. He's an X factor for the Mavericks, but he wasn't going to be the X factor for the Warriors, obviously, because of what the Warriors have right now and because how his role more than likely would have been diminished if he stayed on the Warriors. His role clearly is more impactful on the Mavericks, but they have the components where they don't need him more, if that makes sense to what I'm saying, because they have Luka and Kyrie Irving's shot creation. All he has to do is knock down shots. So they kind of made like an ecosystem where, he can thrive off of, but he's still definitely an X factor, clearly, as long as he is in the starting lineup, because he can't really defend like how he once could. So I think we have to accept Klay Thompson for what he is today and not what he was yesteryear. Right now, he's a guy that occasionally can have a game like how he had last night where he's hot. He could be a reason why your team win a game here and there, right? Because of his hot shooting. But He's going to have times where he can't buy a shot off the internet. He's going to have the times where he can't stay in front of the guards. And you have to live with that. So that's my take, basically.
And the thing about that is, if he's having an off night, there are plenty of other players on the Mavericks that could beat you. Like, I've been super impressed with Kyrie Irving and how he's continued his great play in the playoffs last year into the start of this season. You have Doncic. I still love the additions they made in the offseason alongside Klay, like Najee Marshall, like a Quentin Grimes. Derek Lively continues to get better. Like, I know they lost last night, but this Mavericks team is loaded, in my opinion, still. And they're still right up there in terms of the favorites to come out of the Western Conference. And I think there's going to be a playoff game or two where Klay really helps them out.
One more question before we move on. Do you think that what the Warriors are doing right now is sustainable long term? Because they're playing really good basketball right now.
I think it depends what your goals are. I think they're a better team right now than they've been in years past, especially last year when they didn't even make the playoffs. And to be honest, at the start of this season, I wasn't really sure what to think. But as the season has gone on, they've obviously been much better than I thought. But I brought this idea up to you last week, Lil. Like, I still believe the number one goal for this team has to be winning a championship. And as well as they've played, I don't think they could do that with the current roster they have right now, which is why if the Bucks do decide to move on from Giannis, they have to be the team that gets the job done there. And they have to pair him with Steph Curry. And then we're really talking. And I think it helps them, the fact that all of these guys, especially some of the younger players, are playing well and continuing to get better. That's only going to help. And the better this Warriors team continues to play, then the more appealing of an option that's going to be for a guy like Giannis.
I agree. I think they have the pieces that can potentially pull off a deal. And I think they're in prime position to make a deal. When you are winning games and you're 9-2, and you know that you could potentially try to compete for a championship, but you're not there yet, this is a team that really needs to make a move that's going to not accelerate, but give them that boost to really be a true championship contender. And I think leaving this question here, did the Warriors... Go ahead.
I just want to say this too, and this just came to mind. This offseason, the Warriors were like in heavy talks to add another star, right? Like they really wanted.
They was in talks for Laurie Marketing. Yep.
Paul George, right? Like they wanted to get either of those two guys. They didn't.
And Cat. They was in the Cat rumors as well.
I think Jimmy Butler too, right? They were all over the place. They wanted all these guys. So it's clear that they want someone. Bob Myers isn't their GM anymore. It's Mike Dunleavy. Like, I don't know how much confidence I have in him, but some of his under-the-radar moves like Buddy Hield, like DeAnthony Melton have worked out so far. So we'll see what he could do.
And just to be clear here, I mean, did the Warriors make the right call moving on from Klay Thompson? It's not like they wanted to move on from Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson felt disrespected with the contract, with the diminished role. And the Warriors had to make a decision. They were not going to overpay for a guy that's past his prime. And I cannot hate the Warriors for that. I'm just glad that they gave him the proper tribute that they gave him last night before the game.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.